So if you've been watching this channel for any length of time, you would know that one franchise I never really got into or sunk a lot of substantial time into is the Persona franchise. Now, I do enjoy JRPGs, but some of the more anime style ones don't really hit with me because, well, I don't watch anime. But Persona is such a beloved franchise along with all of its offshoot games, and one of these offshoot games is coming to the Nintendo Switch, PlayStation systems, and PC with Persona 4 Arena Ultimax on March 17th. So Sega reached out to me and asked if I'd like to check out the game in a sponsored video. And at first, honestly, I was a bit unsure. Looking at the game, however, this isn't your traditional Persona game. Instead, this is a 2D fighting game. So my interest piqued in it and I decided to check it out. So can a non-Persona fan enjoy Persona 4 Arena Ultimax not as a Persona game per se, but more as a 2D fighter? Let's find out. So Persona 4 Arena Ultimax is broken up into many different types of modes. Now, of course, one of the main modes is the story mode. Now, usually when you think of a story mode in a fighting game, it's usually like, I don't know, a cut scene before a fight that kind of explains what is happening in the overall arcing story, and then of course you fight. Persona 4 Arena Ultimax, though, is honestly very different. Like, extremely different. I have never seen such a story in the story mode of a fighting game before, and at times it even feels a bit like a visual novel more so than a fighting game. Now you have your fights sprinkled in, you meet a bunch of different characters, all of these characters have their own story, and these things play out from their own perspectives. The game takes place after the events of Persona 4 and Persona 4 Arena, using the same characters from that game, so obviously if you're a fan of the Persona games and have played them before, you will understand who is who and what's happening and why it's happening. But even as a bit of an outsider, it wasn't too complex to the point of where it kind of turned me off. Basically, there's a bad guy harnessing these persona, which are summoning magic creatures for nefarious things within the TV world in which the characters are sucked into, but then the TV world blends with the main world, and there's like shadow versions of the main characters from the story. Yes, like, I know it's out there, and at times I was kind of like, alright, what the hell is going on? Just let me fight here. But fans of the Persona mainline games and series will love all this stuff way more than I did. I will say I love the Daft Punk One More Time style movies that would play through the story, which I guess is more of just like standard anime, but I'm equating it to that album because that's probably the most I've ever been into anime. Beyond the expansive and deep story mode, you of course just have your more basic fighting game modes, and that's honestly where I spent a lot of my time playing this game. Aside from the practice mode and the lesson mode, you have two more main modes known as Arcade and Golden Arena. Arcade is pretty much what you would expect from a fighting game. You choose your character with a variety of characters from Persona 3 and Persona 4, go through a series of battle with some sub-story stuff, and then get your overall score. Golden Arena is pretty interesting because it incorporates RPG elements into things, which I honestly thought was pretty cool. You choose your character and engage in fights, but at the end of them, your character gets leveling points to do things like increase your HP, and you proceed through essentially what is more of a dungeon system that has you constantly battling and leveling up and even getting new abilities. It kind of reminds me a little bit of Toe Ball #1's mode, but instead of traversing through the actual dungeon like you did in that game, which was honestly pretty boring, this is way more streamlined, which I appreciated. There's also an online mode in which you can compete in various modes such as player matches and ranked matches, but unfortunately I wasn't able to find anyone online to test it out. Now it is worth noting that while the PlayStation and PC versions of the game will be getting rollback netcode this upcoming summer, the Nintendo Switch version of the game will not be getting that. So hopefully the online servers are good enough to where that won't be an issue though. Character and gameplay wise, it's a motley crew of various characters from Persona 3 and Persona 4. Once again, as someone who doesn't know about these games, it wasn't a huge deal to me. I was just looking for cool characters to play as. I think my favorite was Junpei, which I'm probably saying wrong, who was like a baseball guy with like a baseball bat. The horny Teddy thing was actually funny as hell too. That dude needs to take a cold shower. You can choose the normal version or the shadow version of your character as well, so it gives it more depth. As far as the fighting is concerned, it's a pretty deep combo system, but pretty easy to learn as well. It kind of feels a bit like Guilty Gear in terms of combat, and that's a very good thing. You have a light attack, you have a strong attack, you have a Persona summoned attack, and you have a Persona summoned rush attack. Of course, using certain button combinations will give you different moves for both your attacks and Persona attacks, leading to big impact combos. What I like is if you're using a persona attack and you get hit, you actually lose a persona card. And if you lose all of your persona cards in a battle, you won't be able to summon one anymore in that fight. You can do things like cancels, super cancels, dodge attacks instead of blocking, block attacks, throw people, all-out attacks, and all-out rushes. Even more so, you can actually inflict status ailments like you would see in an RPG, such as poison on the person you're fighting. Now, if that sounds like a lot, it is, but I don't think it's a bad thing at all. You can play the game just fine not worrying about some of that stuff and play it more like a Guilty Gear or a Street Fighter with quarter circle attacks. Plus, the game offers you a list of all of the characters' moves you have chosen in the pause menu so you can familiarize yourself with them. There are multiple difficulty modes as well, and after getting used to the game, I had really no trouble going through normal and up once I sort of understood all these mechanics. Presentation-wise, the game once again is really damn good with some fantastic visuals. You have things like storyboard scenes in the story mode, along with tons of videos as well, and the game itself looks fantastic. Each character has a ton of personality that's shown in everything from like their faces to their outfits. Everyone is fully voiced, and the gameplay plays super smooth. The backgrounds have a good bit of variety with different things happening in the backgrounds themselves, and I didn't experience any performance issues with the game as far as stuttering or frame rate drops. I think the audio in the game shines as well, with some really fun music ranging from J-pop to J-rock to J-rap, which I mean is all subjective to personal taste, but the aforementioned voiceovers definitely helps flesh out this package. So what didn't I love about this game? I'll be honest, the story mode was at times like way too talky for me. I know it's based on an RPG series, but I was just like looking to jump in and fight, and there were large chunks of where I was just like learning what was happening, who these characters were, and why things were going the way that they were. I actually reached out to Evan from the Spawncast, and I was like, hey, you've played this game before, right? And he was like, yeah. I was like, do you actually fight in the story mode, or like is it just like an actual story that you're learning? He's like, oh no, you fight. And I was like, okay, good. I feel like if I was a Persona fan, I would love all that, but as someone who isn't, it kind of didn't hit with me as much as I would have liked it to. Also, personally, I was a bit disappointed I couldn't find anyone online, so I'll be sure to make sure to have a tweet on Twitter or something with a follow-up letting you guys know how the online is in the game. Overall, though, I think I enjoyed Persona 4 Arena Ultimax more so than I thought I would. Persona fans will obviously love it because it's more Persona, but I think fighting game fans will enjoy it too because of its simple but deep combat system, the flashy visuals, and the wealth of game modes and options at your disposal. The deep roster, all of which feels very different from one another, gives you a lot of different styles to find and try to figure out who works best for you. And plus, I left the best part for last. This is only a $30 game. Yes, folks, you heard that right. Persona 4 Arena Ultimax is priced as a budget game, which I guess does make a bit of sense since it was originally released from the Xbox 360 and PS3 era, but it looks and plays like a modern fighter due to enhancements done versus the original versions of the game. Check out the link in the description box down below to get your copy and get more details on it. I want to give a huge thank you to Sega for sponsoring this video, and be sure to let me know what you think of this game and whether or not you're a Persona fan or not in the comments section down below. And as always guys, I'll catch you guys on the next video. Later.